They called it a suicide, but somehow the most connected predator in modern history managed to die in the one jail in America where cameras just stopped working. Coincidence? Sure. And I'm the King of England. This is the story of Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Prince Andrew, a trio of names tangled up in one of the darkest and most revealing scandals of our time. AI is about to pull the curtain back, not with rumors, but with documented facts, court filings, flight logs, government reports, and legal settlements. What we'll expose is not just what they did, but how the system bent over backwards to let them. If you're into smart stories that challenge the official narrative, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We can't expose the system without you. Jeffrey Epstein didn't just show up in 2019 when the headlines exploded. He had been a known problem since at least the early 2000s, if not before. Victims had spoken. Lawsuits had been filed. Police in Palm Beach, Florida, built a case against him in 2006 after multiple girls described being recruited to give massages that turned into abuse. But the public didn't see the full story then because the system quietly buried it. Instead of a high-profile trial, Epstein got the deal of a lifetime in 2008, a non-prosecution agreement with federal prosecutors in Florida. That deal allowed him to plead guilty only to state charges of soliciting a minor, serve just 13 months, much of it on work release outside jail, and avoid federal charges entirely. A secret deal, kept hidden even from many of his victims until journalists later uncovered it. That agreement wasn't just unusual, it was extraordinary. And it came from none other than Alexander Acosta, then the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, who years later would become Secretary of Labor in Donald Trump's cabinet. When asked why Epstein got such a sweetheart deal, Acosta reportedly said he had been told Epstein belonged to intelligence. Was that true? We may never know. But what we do know is that the official paper trail shows Epstein escaped real justice in 2008, and the people who let him off the hook faced no consequences. Meanwhile, his network thrived. His private plane, nicknamed the Lolita Express, ferried celebrities, politicians, and royals. His mansions in Palm Beach, Manhattan, Paris, and his private island in the Virgin Islands all became part of a disturbing pattern. A man with unimaginable access, enabled by silence. Enter Ghislaine Maxwell, a well-known socialite, daughter of media figure Robert Maxwell, and later judged by a jury to have been deeply involved in Jeffrey Epstein's network. She wasn't just a face in the crowd, she played an active role in supporting his operations. In December 2021, after years of legal proceedings, a jury in New York found her guilty on several federal charges. The following year, she received a prison sentence of 20 years. That's not rumor. That's United States versus Ghislaine Maxwell, a matter of public record. And then there's Prince Andrew, Duke of York. His connection to Epstein became public through photos, testimonies, and travel records. Virginia Giuffre, one of the most vocal accusers, claimed she was connected to Andrew as a teenager. The prince denied all allegations, even giving a now famous BBC interview in which he mentioned his inability to sweat and claimed to have been at a Pizza Express in Woking the night in question. The public reacted with disbelief, but the legal world took it further. In 2022, Andrew quietly settled a civil case with Giuffre for a reported multi-million-dollar sum. The agreement included no admission of guilt, but it confirmed in writing that a senior royal paid to avoid a public trial. So we have three power players: Epstein, a man who evaded accountability for years; Maxwell, now a convicted figure; and Prince Andrew, who turned to wealth and monarchy to shield himself. And orbiting them were lawyers, bankers, politicians, and institutions that all, somehow, looked the other way. Here's where AI cuts through the noise. Forget the tabloids, forget the speculation, follow the documents, start with the flight logs. These are not rumors, they're official records from pilots. They show names of people who flew on Epstein's planes, celebrities, business titans, politicians. But here's the critical point. Being on a flight log proves one thing: you were a passenger. It does not prove what you did on that flight. Still, the sheer frequency of names appearing alongside Epstein paints a pattern of access. Epstein wasn't just some guy, he was a connector, a gatekeeper to elites across industries. Then, the 2008 non-prosecution agreement. AI flags the language. It didn't just cover Epstein. It gave immunity to potential co-conspirators. Translation: it wasn't just Epstein protected, it was his network. That's not speculation, that's in the text. A deal so unusual that later judges would describe it as violating victims' rights. Next, Maxwell's conviction. AI highlights the testimonies. Multiple women describing the same method, Maxwell befriending them, normalizing abuse, making Epstein seem less like a monster and more like a benefactor. Different victims, same script. That's a pattern too precise to dismiss. And finally, Prince Andrew's settlement. AI compares it to other high-profile settlements. The pattern is clear. When evidence risked becoming public, money made the problem go away. Andrew's name disappeared from the court docket, but not from the internet. So could these players ever be trusted as part of a solution? Of course not. Epstein is dead. Maxwell is serving time. Andrew clings to titles but not credibility. They are not reformers. They are the reason the reform is needed. What gets lost in the headlines about private jets and princes is the cost paid by the victims. Girls who should have been protected were instead groomed, silenced, and ignored. Some dropped out of school. Some struggled with addiction. Many live with trauma that never makes it into the news. And society, we absorb the scandal like cheap entertainment. The meme about sweating, the jokes about the island, it all became internet fodder. But behind every meme is the reality. A system so compromised that a man like Epstein could get a secret deal, keep abusing for over a decade, and die under mysterious circumstances in the most watched jail in America. Remember that. The Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York, a federal facility. On August 10, 2019, Epstein was found dead in his cell. The official ruling: suicide. But the Justice Department's own Inspector General later documented failures: cameras malfunctioning, guards asleep, or falsifying records. Even if you accept the suicide verdict, the fact remains: incompetence or corruption allowed the single most high-profile prisoner in the US to vanish from accountability. And yet, everyone acts like this is fine. So here we are. Epstein dead, Maxwell in prison, Prince Andrew hiding behind settlements and silence. The flight logs are public, the court documents are online, and the non-prosecution agreement sits in archives like a scar on the justice system. AI doesn't moralize, it just connects the dots. But when you look at those dots, the secret deals, the powerful names, the double standards, you see a picture that should make you furious. Because this wasn't just about one predator, it was about a network, a system, a world where money and influence buy escape routes ordinary people never get. So the question is, what will you do with this truth? Will you laugh it off as another internet meme? Or will you see it as proof that accountability in our society is optional, at least if you're rich enough? If this vision makes sense to you, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're building something smarter, together.